This is Mayor Oliver Gilbert, and we've gone virtual. While we're staying at home, remaining safe, I want to make sure that the activities that we enjoy together as a community could be brought to you online. Join me for healthy cooking and nutrition with Common Threads. Let's cook and stay healthy together. Bon appetit.
Hi everybody, this is Mimi. I'm a chef instructor at Common Threads. I'm really excited to be here today for another edition of Miami Gardens Virtual Experiences. Today we're going to be making something very simple and delicious, a recipe called turkey chili. I like this recipe because it includes ingredients that are really accessible. For example, let's look at the different ingredients that we're using today. So we're using crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, some chili powder, corn, canned corn, red kidney beans, olive oil, salt, pepper, and then the star of the show is ground turkey. This ground turkey has already been cooked, but I'm going to go through the recipe as if it had not been already cooked so that you can follow along with me. For those of you who are not familiar, I work with an organization called Common Threads. Common Threads provides cooking and nutrition education to families and kids. And we've been invited to participate in Mayor Gilbert's virtual experiences. We're very thankful for that. And he'll be joining us next week for the cooking demo. So make sure to come back next week and check it out. It should be a lot of fun. So let's get started with today's cooking demo. So we're going to be dicing up an onion and some garlic. I'm just going to use half an onion for this demo today. I wanted to show you guys a little trick. So you see that the onion here is complete and it's got this this end of the onion. And we want to keep this end of the onion intact. So I've already cut this onion in half, and as you can see, it has that part of the onion intact, and there's a reason for that. What we want to do, and I'm going to move my camera so you can see it really clearly, is we're going to leave the onion intact to be able to cut it into little dices in a very efficient way. So the first thing, as usual, is to have a knife that is a good size. So when you're cutting something like an onion, a full onion, or any kind of vegetable, you don't want to use a small knife because you can't get through the whole vegetable with a small knife, right? So a nice chef's knife is the best tool for the job. When you hold a knife, you want to make sure that you're putting your pointer finger on one side of the top of the blade like this, and then your thumb is on the other side, like on the top, just like that. Your three fingers are wrapped around the handle, and this is really giving you the best and strongest grip of the knife because, you know, safety is everything in cooking. So with my other hand, I'm doing what we call a bear claw. So if you can see that my fingertips are curled underneath, I'm going to hold down the vegetable using that bear claw, and that's going to protect my fingertips. I'm going to use this side of my finger here to help me guide my knife. All right, so I have my onion that is intact, right? It's not going to fall apart on me, and I'm going to use the knife to make slices, and I'm not going to cut all the way through that end of the onion. I want to keep that whole. So just cut right up until the edge there, and that way your onion is still in one piece. And don't forget to use your bear claw and cut right through it. So this recipe calls for onion. It doesn't call for garlic, but I add garlic to almost everything I make, so I'm going to go ahead and add garlic to it. If you wanted to add, you know, other vegetables like, I don't know, carrot or bell pepper or something spicy like a Scotch bonnet or a jalapeno, you could totally do that as well. So I don't know if you noticed what I did there was after I did my slices across the onion like this, I turned it over and I made some more slices lengthwise this way so that when I cut through the onion, I get these nice diced pieces. So that's the idea for that. So it makes cutting the onion just a lot quicker and easier. It takes some practice, but once you got it, you'll never go back to cutting an onion any other way. All right, so onion is diced. For the garlic, I am just going to give my garlic a little smash with my hand and the knife, and that's an easy way to peel the entire clove. And when I make, for the garlic, we're going to, instead of dicing it the size of the onion, we're going to go ahead and cut it a little bit smaller using another cutting method. So I'll show you that. So here we go. I've taken the peel off of the garlic. I have my onion off to the side. You can see I have a nice size cutting board that's going to allow me to do two small projects like this, two small tasks, without having to move things around. I like using a big cutting board because it just gives me the space. It just feels more comfortable. So here I'm using what we call the rock and chop. So instead of using a bear claw now, I am putting my hand on the top of the blade like this. And if you're working with kids, this is an excellent activity for them to do. They're totally capable. Give them a shot. Let them help you out in the kitchen. So you want to put the tip of the blade right on the cutting board. Your hand that is not holding the knife is on the top of the blade like this. If you're working with kids, just ask them to please show you their fingers so that they don't run any risk of cutting themselves. And then you just rock back and forth like this, and you chop up the onion that way. Garlic. We're chopping garlic. So yeah, as I was saying, a great addition to this would be jalapeno or bell peppers or, any other veggies of that sort that you like and you have around. Use them for this. Definitely a really good addition. So I'm going to move my camera back up so that you can see a wider view of what I'm doing. So now I'm going to move. That's all there is for knife work. It's just cutting up some onion and some garlic. And now the rest of it is putting it all together. So we are going to move this in front of you guys so you can see everything as clearly as possible. And so now I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. High heat. You want to get that saute pan nice and hot. I'm using a very wide saute pan. That's going to help things move along a little bit quicker. If you were using a smaller pot, say something like this, then your cooking is going to take a little bit longer. It doesn't matter either way, but because this is a cooking demo, I'm going with the wider saute pan just to cook things a little bit quicker. It's going to give the space to all of the ingredients to cook quickly because there's a lot of space that's heated. So I'm adding some olive oil, about a tablespoon or so. And you'll find our recipe on our website, commonbites.org, and bites is with a Y. And you're going to heat up that olive oil for just a minute or less. 30 seconds is enough. And I can feel that it's nice and hot. I like to put my hand right above there and just make sure that things are hot. And I'm going to go ahead and add the onion and garlic. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's the sound of sauteing, and that is what you want to hear when you add in those veggies. You want them to start cooking right away. So sauteing in French actually means to jump. So when you're sauteing, you always want to use pretty high heat to get the food. As soon as the food hits the sauteed pan, the heat is going to make it jump, which is why it's called saute. So little pieces of garlic and onion are actually flying out of my saute pan, but that's exactly what I want them to do. And this is a very quick process. So having everything cut up and ready to go before you start cooking is where you want to be so that you don't burn anything, right? All right, so you're only going to saute because we cut up things pretty small. We're only going to saute for like a minute or so. And then you can go ahead and add your turkey. As I said earlier, this turkey was already cooked. I just sauteed it just like I did the onion and garlic here. But if your turkey is raw, that's perfectly fine. We're going to add turkey. And turkey is a great alternative for healthy cooking because normally, you know, with chili, we would use ground beef, right? But ground beef tends to have a lot of fat in it. So this is a really great alternative. Turkey has very little fat in it. So it's very recommended if you're trying to keep a healthy diet and low cholesterol and all of that good stuff. So to give some of this turkey that flavor that we're going to be missing from the ground beef, we're going to add some spices. So first spice I have here is chili powder. I'm going to add a nice amount of it. There's about a half pound of ground turkey here, by the way. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of chili powder. And if you want to add more, by all means, if you have other spices that you like to have in your food, then add those. This is something that you can definitely play around with. I'm adding a little bit of salt and some pepper. And we're going to saute that just for another few minutes, or actually just for another minute or so. Once you add in those spices, you want to add some liquid pretty soon because you don't want it to burn. You don't want the spices to burn. So if you had added raw turkey, this process would take just a little bit longer while the turkey cooks, right? So you want the turkey to cook for the most part, and then we can start adding some of our other ingredients. So we're going to add kidney beans next. So kidney beans, classic ingredient for chili, really gives this recipe some heartiness and that extra protein. As you guys know, we've talked about this in the other segments that beans are also a protein, source of protein. So this could easily be a vegetarian dish. If you didn't have any turkey meat, you could just make it all with beans. We're adding corn now. This is going to give it not only flavor, but a little bit of sweetness and color. So sweetness, color, and corn. As you can, mine was frozen. You can buy it canned. If you're buying canned veggies, make sure that you drain and wash them first so that they don't, so that you can get rid of some of that extra sodium. All right, so far so good. Everything is looking and smelling really, really good. Next thing we're gonna add is some diced tomatoes. So we've got two types of canned tomatoes here. We got crushed and diced. One is gonna give it a little bit of texture with those diced tomatoes. Add them right in there. Give it a stir. Hopefully you guys can see how that's looking. Looking really, really good. And then you can go ahead and add your crushed tomatoes. So it's one of the smaller cans, a 14.5-ounce can of diced tomatoes, and a larger can of crushed tomatoes, which is about 28-ounce can. This is gonna feed family of 4 for sure, maybe even more. So I'm stirring in that tomato sauce. So other proteins that are, you know, animal proteins that are lean, meaning they don't have a lot of fat, that are really good to use in your everyday cooking just to keep, you know, a healthy diet, include chicken without the skin, because that's where most of that fat is. Or fish is also a great lean protein that you guys could choose. And just those small substitutions when you're making food at home really makes a big difference as far as your health. You're choosing to use foods that have less fat, less sodium, less sugar. All of these little things that you choose to do at home add up to something that is going to make a big difference in your health. So that's the reason why we're doing all of this. And, you know, during this pandemic, it's become more and more evident that the more we take care of ourselves, the better off we will be. Your immune system will be better off. You'll be able to, you know, physically, emotionally, and mentally tackle all of the challenges that a situation like this presents. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how this is looking. There's the chili. It's cooking away. It's a little bit dry, so I'm going to add some chicken broth. If you don't have chicken broth, you could water it down a little bit with some water. Either way, it'll have a lot of flavor. And so now you just want to have this cook maybe about 20 to 30 minutes. With stewed dishes like this, the longer they cook, the more flavor it develops. So leaving it on there on a low temperature on your stovetop and stirring once in a while so that, you know, the bottom, anything that's at the bottom doesn't burn is definitely something you should do. But this is something you can have cooking away on your stovetop for 30 minutes or even longer if you like, as long as it's at a low temperature, and you just keep on stirring. So this is it. That's how quick and easy this turkey chili recipe is. You could serve this up with on top of a baked potato as a topping for that, or with some brown rice. It would be a really delicious complete meal. I would even serve this up as sort of like a dip with some chips. That would work too. And yeah, that's it. This is how quick and easy this recipe is. It took me, maybe 15 minutes to put it all together. Now we're just going to let it cook. I made some ahead of time so I could show you guys what it looks like when it's done. So I'm going to set this off to the side and show you guys. All right, so here we go. We have the made chili. You could top this with, when it's nice and hot, top it with some shredded cheese. Maybe you want to add some diced onion to it. That would be great as well. And I'm a big fan of green onions. So I sliced up some green onions, and that's going to add some color and some flavor to this chili. And there you have it. Turkey chili from Common Threads. Very easy, accessible, affordable, delicious. Make it with turkey, make it plant-based. Make it your own and enjoy it. So remember, next week we're going to be back here with Mayor Gilbert. We're going to be making a recipe that he's come up with. Super excited for that. Looking forward to it. Please, if you have any questions about this recipe or any nutrition questions that you would like some more information on, you can add them in the comments on the Facebook feed, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible with those questions. I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's session. I did. Join us every Thursday at 1 p.m. on Facebook Live for healthy cooking and nutrition classes with Common Threads. If you want to view the session again, visit cmgengage.com/virtual. See you next week. Tell me, do you really think you can walk